Hi everyone, I'm Heather, Woolly Elephant Mum on Instagram for the Woolly Elephant channel. I thought I'd drop in and give a little update of some of the things I've been making over the last week. If you haven't met me before, I work in a fabric shop at Always Knitting and Sewing in Chorley and online. So I get to see a lot of the new fabrics firsthand, and I obviously spend all week seeing customers, and I get to film tutorials and share all my knowledge with you that way as well. So I'll show you a couple of things that I've been making this week. A couple of things I've bought. Went off to Lancaster yesterday morning. It's Sunday the 5th today, so Saturday yesterday. Went off to Lancaster to have a wander around there. My husband's recently got a new job there, and I've never been to Lancaster before, and he kept saying how pretty it was, so we went for a look around, and he also said that there was a fabric shop and a wool shop there, so it was definitely worth going and having a visit. So while I was there, I obviously went to visit these two shops. I didn't buy any wool, but I did see that they sold rowan felted tweed, which is great because one of the patterns I'm planning on knitting next in the future when I get a bit of time is knitted in rowan felted tweed. So I can give my husband a list or I can ring the shop and say this is what I want, and he can nip out on his lunch break and pick it up for me. So that's really convenient. Anyway, this fabric shop that I visited there called Fabrics, spelled Fabrix, had all the stuff that was in their shop was different to what we have where we work, which was nice. So I was a bit tempted, and the first thing I bought there was, I saw this puffin fabric, which I thought was absolutely fab. I fancy making a summery type backpack. I've been drawing up a slouchy backpack pattern, and I fancy having a go at making it in this puffin fabric, which I think is lovely. And then there's a matching waves one, and I got this one as well. This is a bit of an all over print, so I fancy making myself a backpack in those. If you're interested in what they are, they're called, let me just look for the name for them, and it doesn't say. Oh, hang on this one. This is Puffin Bay by Lewis. Puffin Bay by Lewis and Irene, if you like the look of that. So it was this one that appealed to me more than anything, because this takes me back to when we went out on a boat trip to see puffins, which was lovely, and we're hoping to see them again at some point this year. So I couldn't resist those, so I bought them. And then while I was there at the till, I saw these fabulous looking scissors. I can't resist this kind of colour on anything to do with my bag hardware or in tools. Now, I have bought a pair of scissors this colour before. These came with them as well. You got the little stalk scissors. These were by Millwood, and I got the set of two. These are quite long shears, these as well, and they do sit flat. These were, I think I paid £25 for the set of two, which I thought was pretty good. So I'll give them a try and see how they go. Maybe if I get on with them all right, might be able to recommend them at work. I have had a pair of this colour type scissors before, but to be fair, these were Tula pink scissors, and I bought these mainly because of the colour. Paid quite a lot for these, but I've got to say I've never been impressed with them. I think the handles are a little bit small, and I don't know, I just don't really get on with them. They're not quite as sharp as I thought they would be for the money that I paid for them. I mean, Tula Pink does some beautiful fabrics, and I saw these and thought, well, I love those. I want a pair of scissors that colour, but I haven't really got on that well with them. So that when I saw these, I thought I'm going to have to give those ones a go, because I like the nice long blades. I wanted some with really long blades. So, and these stalk scissors are so pretty, these little stalk scissors. So I'll see how I get on with those. So that was my purchases at Fabrics in Lancaster. So if you're ever going on a trip to Lancaster, I'd definitely look them up. They're in the town centre, and there's, like I say, there's a wool shop right next door. So, purchases that I made at work, Always Knitting and Sewing. Well, we had this huge Tilda fabric delivery in of all these of their latest launch, and all the fat quarter bundles. There was fat eighths. And we had a few of the fabrics on the board, the blue range, and then there was all the blenders. Well, I couldn't make my mind up. Did I want them? Did I not? Anyway, I did eventually succumb. I wanted this blue range more than anything. The range is called Pie in the Sky, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So this was the blue ones that I bought. This is the ones that I really liked. And there's this one at the front here, was my favourite design out of all of them. I also bought a metre of the actual fabric of that one, because I really like that one. Thought that was really pretty. Not quite sure what I'm going to do yet. They'll probably end up being a couple of bags of some kind. So I bought the blue, but I couldn't make my mind up between the green and the red. So I thought, what the heck? And I went for the both. So they're the same designs as the blue fabric, but there's a green and a red, and they all work together extremely well. So I'm looking forward to having a play with those. Just got to decide what I'm going to do with them. I mean, I did look at making a quilt. At work, Chloe has done a block of the month in our subscription club, but I can't make my mind up whether I want to make it out. If I wanted to make a quilt, I'd make that. I just can't make my mind up whether I want to make a quilt or whether to use them for lots of other bits and pieces, because anyone that knows me I like to make my bags and pouches and accessories and all that kind of thing. But just before I got those, when I was doing the project for the subscription box, I couldn't resist this. As you might have noticed, I like these kind of colours. And I bought myself 3 meters of this before it sold out, because it was flying off the shelves. This was called Packed Bright Leaves by Timeless Treasures. I think there might be some left, and there was a couple of others in the range, but this one, I just couldn't resist this. It's absolutely beautiful. So the plan for this one is to make a shirt. I like shirts more than anything else, and so I plan on making myself a couple more this summer, and this is the one I'm thinking of doing. This is Cashmerette, the Vernon shirt. I've done one of Cashmerette's other shirts before, which was more fitted. This one looks to be a little bit looser, so I could wear this like an overshirt, and I think it'll look fabulous in that, because I think I deserve to be draped in this pink and purple colour. And I bought enough that it would be there would be enough to make pouches or a bag with as well afterwards. So that's the Vernon shirt by Cashmerette. I love Cashmerette patterns because they're more designed for if you're bigger up top. It's more geared towards that, so that they fit you better around your arms and around your bust and your back and your shoulders, so everything, it isn't too big everywhere else. So I might need to alter it a little bit less than I would a general everyday run-of-the-mill pattern. And that one is size 12, it goes from size 12 up to size 32, and from cup size C to H. So that's really good, really good. So if you haven't checked them out, you should have a look. They do a pattern, the same pattern in size 0 to 16 UK sizes as well. So that's the plan for that. So the next thing that I made this yesterday. Been putting this together. I borrowed a pattern. A friend at work, Lynn, she made one of these in a pink and flowery pretty fabric, and I really liked it. So I thought I'm going to have a go at doing this myself. So this is the Crescent Tote by Noodlehead Patterns. Now I've used a different interfacing in it than it said. I have lined it, the outer bit, with Decovil light. If you've never tried Decovil, it's like a leathery type interfacing, and it gives you structure without bulk. So anything basically that you make with Bosal foam, any of those bags that you make with foam, you could put the Decovil light in its place, Now I used the Utopia metallic tree panel by Timeless Treasures to make this. It was one of those impulse buys that I bought and then thought, I don't really know what I'm going to do with this, because it was a panel for a quilt. I just fell in love with it. Anyway, so I've used it, cut it up for this. So I've used the centre of the main part of the tree on the back, which I think looks really cool. And then the root down the bottom here has got the flowers on. Oh, excuse the tail. It's got the flowers on. I'll try and get that into the shot. There we are. And all the flowers and leaves at the bottom of the tree. And then the handles are folded in and stitched down the middle. That was Odin that's come to join us. Here he is. This is one of my pussycats. This is Odin. They like to come and sit in the middle of my craft stuff on my table. So there we go. And then I can't remember what this one was called, but this panel is still in. Oh, it's sitting on my notes now. This panel is still in stock at Always Knitting and Sewing. It's the Utopia metallic tree panel by Timeless Treasures. I'll put any links that you need in the description box down below. This was another Timeless Treasures one, and I've also lined it with that as well. So can you see that? I don't know if you can see. Odin can see it. Try and pull back and then, no, it's not going to show very well. There we go. So it's got a zipper pocket inside. Odin says it's very pretty, and I've used quilt wadding on the inside to give it a bit of a softer feel on the inside. So there we go. So I'm really pleased with that, and it stands. So if I hold it on the bottom like that, you can see it stands up. That's what Decovil light does for you. It gives you the structure without all the bulk. If you leave it out of your seams, it makes it a lot easier to sew as well. And I've used some nice zippers I got from Zipper Station online, and the zipper pulls. So I'm really pleased with that. The top stitch thread on that as well is I've used a multi one from Gutterman, one of their top stitch gradient type threads. Knitting, so if you're interested in knitting, I've shown a shawl that I was knitting last week called the Inara wrap, which is this one. I've managed to get a little bit further on with that, not a lot, because there's obviously a little devil down here that likes to play with my knitting needles when he gets the chance. So this is how far I've got so far. So this is the bottom level. I was going to do another couple of runs in this, but switched. In fact, he's eating my wool now. No, get off. He's eating my wool, and I've switched to a hand-dyed yarn now. So for the next bit, fancied a change. So that's how far I've got with that. You can now see it's starting to lean. So all you need to do to make a shawl this shape is decrease every other row. I'm doing it on you're doing it on the purl side. So you decrease on one side by one stitch, and then you increase at the other side by one stitch, and it gives you a shawl that leans. You can't really see it there because it's draping down, but it gives you a shawl that's like on the bias. So you could do that in any pattern that you wanted, but this is in some hand-dyed yarns that I want to use up, so I'm working my way through that. It's knitted on Knit Pro Zings circular needles, 3.75. Will you stop eating my wool? 3.75. You see little paws coming up to see if you can grab that. So I'm just going to stash that back away so that he can't get that, because he's trying to, you can't see him, he's quite out of shot here, but he's just here trying to pinch me stuff. They're quite good that when I'm knitting on circulars, they don't really bother me that much. If I keep the ball of wool next to me, they don't really bother it. If I try knitting or just on your regular long knitted needles, they both want to attack that because the needles are waggling up and down, and they just can't resist that. They are kittens when all said and done. They're 8 months old now. So can I tell you about it at our shop? If you are local to us at Always Knitting and Sewing, if you live in Chorley or the surrounding area, they're now doing a knit and natter group, started this week on Wednesday mornings at 10 till 12, and then a sew chatty group, which is technically like a Stitch and Bitch, on Friday mornings at 10 in the morning till 12, where you can just bring along your knitting, obviously on the one, or hand sewing maybe, or things that you want to cut out, or just you want to talk about sewing, to the Friday morning one. It's £3 a session. You can book online. Just type in Knit and Natter in the online shop, and it's just £3. You get a brew and biscuits for that. And we're just trying to promote that at the moment to get a few more people interested, as it's only just started this week, and the ladies that came this week seem to have a really good time, so that was lovely. It is upstairs in the shop, so if you have difficulties getting upstairs, I'm afraid it's unfortunate, but it's the only room that we've got that we can do that in. Also, I'll be doing a little sew along on Always Knitting and Sewing's Facebook page on Thursday at 10 o'clock in the morning, doing our first sew along. I'm just making a little like triangular pouch with a clip on it as our first sew along that you could clip onto your bag, or to your keys, or to keep your mobile phone charger in, or to keep some coins in, or whatever you want really. So if you fancy coming along and joining in, I'd show it to you, but it's at work. 12 o'clock on Thursday morning. We'll be doing that before we do the regular Facebook Live at 12 o'clock. So if you've never watched Always Knitting and Sewing's Facebook Live, we have a bit of a laugh and show you all the latest things that have come in, projects from the Facebook group that people have made, and things that we've made as well, and we can answer your questions. Myself and Chloe usually is there as well. That's at 12 o'clock every Thursday on Always Knitting and Sewing's Facebook page. So if you haven't found us on there, go along and have a look. So a little tip I was going to give you for something today: if you have one of these Prim retractable chalk pens, which I have and I use a lot and I love, if you find you end up with little bits of stubby chalk like this, even shorter than that if they're broken, and they're just not long enough to sharpen in your sharpener, because you get a sharpener that comes with it, but it can be hard to sharpen them. Well, if they're any shorter than that, you can't sharpen them in the sharpener because it just won't go. There's nothing to turn, because you get lots of little sticks like this, but if you drop one or you've used it a lot, you can end up with some really little stubby bits. So for example, like this one, tiny little bit here, there's no way I'm going to get that in that sharpener. So what I suggest you do is get yourself a different sharpener, one that'll take a bigger pencil as well. This one's only got a tiny hole for the chalk, but this one's got a much bigger hole for sharpening a pencil. Now, if you've got these hemline easy grip pliers, you can buy these at Always Knitting and Sewing. These are great for turning your projects through. So if you're turning your bags through, or you're turning a little pouches and things through, or short straps, these are great because they grip. Once they lock, they're gripped and they hold, and they're grippy. I don't know if you can see, they're quite grippy at the end, the inside the plier bit. So what you can do is, if you get your chalk and hold it with one of these, you don't want to grip it because obviously it'll crush it, but you can hold it with that and get it in your pencil sharpener, and then sharpen it that way, she says, hopefully. That didn't work. Maybe that one was a little bit too short. It worked perfectly last time I tried it. Okay, so pop your chalk. Try and pop your chalk in your actual pencil sharpener first. I think that might be what I did. Then grip it with your pliers, not too tight, and then you can just turn it and sharpen it while it's in, and they just replace your fingers from turning it. But because the hole of the sharpener is bigger, you can get the pliers in and then sharpen your chalk. So that's just a tip. If you're struggling to sharpen these smaller bits, Maybe that first bit I tried was just a little bit too short, because I couldn't grip it very well. But that one, sharpened, just a treat. And these can be, like you see, if I just put that in the sharpener there, it's just too short to sharpen it in the sharpener that you get with the actual tool. And then, so you can use these little small bits in your cartridge pen. Now, we normally have those in stock. I don't know if there's any in stock at the moment, but if you have one of these already, that's a good tip for how to sharpen your chalk. Get yourself a different pencil sharpener. This is just one I happen to have handy with a proper size pencil opening as opposed to the chalk one. Works treat. And your hemline grips. These are just great for turning your bags and pouches through. If you only want to leave a small gap in something to turn it through, this is quite good. Another new tool I bought this week was this one. These flew out as soon as they came in. This is called an extra finger. So you've got a flat section there. You've got a flat section there, which is good for holding things down as you're pushing it under your sewing machine needle. To keep your fingers away from the needle. And you've also got a pokey one there and all there. So again, that's good for doing that same kind of thing. Flat one's also good for if you're doing a bulky seam and you're getting your needle right up next to it. You're trying, a lot of the time your hands will be going quite near to it, trying to hold that seam back. Well, this is good for holding that seam back, and it's a bit more substantial to hold than a purple thing, which is what I was using previously, or I use my tweezers. But this makes it a little bit easier. And I imagine you could find all sorts of uses for that. And it's called an extra finger tool. So it's brilliant. So it's something else that might be worth you giving a go. Anyway, that's everything I've got to talk about today. So hopefully I'll upload again something else soon. Maybe you'll get to see something that I've done with my Tildas. So comment below on what you're up to at the moment, what you're making, or anything, any suggestions you've got I could make with Matilda yarn. Any suggestions you can make with my Tilda fabrics. I have an idea of what I want to do with my puffin one, and I think I'm going to coat that with Odie coat to make it waterproof. So maybe I'll video that, me doing that as well, because I want to obviously be able to take it outside with me and everything be protected if it rains. So until next time, have a fabulous week. Enjoy your crafting. Bye.